Hey everybody, you're all very welcome to Dream Better English with James O'Reilly. I'm going to bring you some articles from around the world today, helping you with your listening English and other aspects of your English learning. First article today comes from Bloomberg, and it's an article related to expats. An expat is a term we use to refer to somebody who works and lives outside of their native country. This article is in relation to the best packages that are on offer in Asia. So if you're interested in living and working in Asia, these are the best places that offer the best packages. So with Hong Kong and Singapore routinely topping the charts as the most expensive places to live and play, it may come as a surprise that Japan offers the best pay packets for expats in Asia. The average expatriate pay package provided by companies in Japan to mid-level employees is $386,000, which is better than what's on offer anywhere else in the region. This is according to a report by consultancy called ECA International. Japan also saw the biggest increase in expat package values last year, thanks to a stronger yen and steeper housing costs. Housing costs are steeper, which means more expensive. The price of housing has increased. ECA's annual My Expatriate Market Pay Survey measured expat packages by cash salary along with other perks, including accommodation allowance and international school subsidies. So we have the word perks here. A perk is something offered to you by your company, such as a company car, housing allowance, paying for your house or your apartment while you live abroad. And in this case, we have housing and international school subsidies. Because if you have children, an international school, obviously if you go to Singapore and you're from a country like France, your children would need to go to an international school. And believe me, from my experience, that the cost of those schools is absolutely astronomical. Astronomical means very, very high. Perhaps some of the challenges of living in India entails, such as bad traffic or overcrowding and pollution, India comes in at number 3, with companies offering mid-level staff an average package of $300,000 to attract overseas talent. Hong Kong, the world's least affordable city, took the number 4 slot in Asia, with firms offering $276,000 to international employees. Add-on benefits over and above salary were the highest in the region. Singapore only just squeezes into the top 10. The city-state, known for its low taxes, good schooling and easy outdoor lifestyle, mean companies don't need to offer as many other bells and whistles. Bells and whistles are things that will make the package more attractive. So on balance, it is better to be based in Asia as an expat, the ECA study found. Packages in the US average just $250,000. In Australia, seen as a dream destination for many because of its wide open spaces and coastal cities, packages were $267,000. Now, at the top of the global list was the UK with an average pay package of $422,000. The rise in accommodation costs were partly responsible, with housing and rental prices rising throughout the UK. This was particularly the case in central London, a location that has long attracted high numbers of expatriate workers. So the ECA survey canvassed or asked more than 280 companies in 160 countries and over 10,000 people. This data was collected in 2018. So there you go. They are the most attractive places to live and work in Asia as an expat. And if you bring yourself directly with the link to the webpage, you will see the global list and the full list of all the countries in Asia. our next story is a story which features both in the Financial Times and in the Daily Mail. This is a story about artificial intelligence being involved in music. I'm sure you've heard of the band The Beatles, very famous band from the 1960s and 70s, and still incredibly influential on so many bands today. Well, John Lennon and Paul McCartney were one of the 20th century's most celebrated musical writing partnerships. Exactly what elements each of the pair contributed to their joint, or when we say the word joint, it means together, to their joint credited hits has been a matter of much debate among fans, however. Now researchers have used artificial intelligence, or AI, to solve which Beatle penned the music for a number of their most disputed songs. Scientists from Harvard and Dalhousie University in Canada trained their software using the Beatles' back catalogue to recognise 137 unique musical patterns. These patterns, including notes, chords and other musical motifs, were applied to 8 disputed pieces of music to work out, or to solve, which of the Beatles wrote them. Experts developed and trained the artificial intelligence, AI, over the course of 3 years on musical flourishes from each writer, using 70 songs written by either Lennon or McCartney exclusively. When testing their AI on songs where the authorship was known, it was able to correctly identify the writer with 76% accuracy. The software was then set loose on 8 songs and song fragments written by the pair between 1962 and 1966, whose authorship was in dispute. It was able to identify some, including Ask Me Why, Do You Want to Know a Secret, and the bridge to A Hard Day's Night, as belonging to John Lennon with up to 90% certainty. Our work is essentially a blueprint, or a map, for those wanting to follow changes in music over time. Mark Glickman, a senior lecturer in statistics at Harvard who led the study, told the Financial Times. Using our machine learning model, you could potentially home in on all the different influences of a given musician. The period studied by the team charts the Beatles' relatively simplistic Mersey beat pop foundations to the band's early explorations with a new and unique sonic style. Many of these earlier songs will be familiar to anyone who has listened to the iconic Red compilation album, and includes tracks from such albums as Please Please Me, A Hard Day's Night, Rubber Soul and Revolver. The band's later period from 1967 to 70 was demarcated by the release of the seminal, or very famous album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, a record characterised by a kind of experimentation that would become the signature of the second half of the band's career together. Speculation over who wrote what during the writing partnership has been fueled by conflicting accounts given by the band's members over the years. One such example is In My Life, a track given an 81% certainty match with Lennon's other works by the AI software. The bridge itself, however, was matched to McCartney with 57% accuracy, suggesting Sir Paul had a bigger influence on the section at least. This is not the first time that Harvard have used this type of analysis to try and identify who wrote Beatles tracks. McCartney has long claimed he played a key role in writing the Beatles' hit song In My Life, despite the track being attributed to Lennon. Debate around the track, which was included on the 1965 album Rubber Soul, has gone unresolved, or unfixed, since Lennon's murder in 1980. Harvard experts who used statistical analysis to single out the musical signatures of each of the songwriters claimed to have a definitive answer in July 2018. The research, which highlights 149 different metrics to determine the musical fingerprints of each songwriter, determined that it is overwhelmingly likely In My Life was penned by Lennon and that McCartney misremembers writing that song. Sir Paul McCartney has always maintained that he put John Lennon's lyrics to music, while John Lennon insisted his fellow band member had minimal input in the creation of the song. So altogether very interesting where AI is taking us. We can now find out that your musical influences, if you write a song in the future, perhaps you are influenced by someone else. It's altogether very interesting. Once again, as I said, you can access the article with the link below, and there you will see some graphs and photos in relation to the article itself. Okay, our next story brings us on to tennis and an article from the BBC. This article is about a new tennis sensation who's taking the world by storm, and her name is Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff is a teenage sensation. Her real name is Corey. Her nickname is Coco. And she has, it seems, according to the BBC, that she has the right elements to reach the top of the women's game following her sensational Wimbledon win over Venus Williams. Gauff, who at 15 years has become the youngest player to qualify for the main Wimbledon draw since the Open era began in 1968. Well, she swept aside the 5 times winner, 6-4, 6-4 on court 1 in front of a packed crowd, including her jubilant parent. Jubilant means very happy, very seriously very happy. People have been talking about Coco for years, fellow American and 2-time US Open champion Tracy Austin told BBC's Today at Wimbledon. They have now started to recognise her internationally. Obviously, she's a tremendous athlete, but to walk on court to face Venus, a player who she idolises, a person who you see almost like a god, there were plenty of opportunities for her to get tight and nervous. Tight means anxious, uptight. She has been raised for greatness, and this is the beginning. 3-time Wimbledon singles champion, singles means to play on your own, individual. 3 times Wimbledon singles champion John McEnroe added, Gauff's not only physically mature, but also mentally. I look at the way she plays. If she's not number 1 in the world by 20, I will be absolutely shocked. Gauff, who started playing tennis at the age of 7, comes from a sporting family. She is coached by her father Corey, who played basketball at Georgia State University. Her mother Candy was a gymnast before moving into track and field, or athletics. Their daughter began to deliver in major sporting arenas 2 years ago when she became the youngest US Open girls singles finalist, aged just 13. And last year she won the French Open equivalent, only 2 months after her 14th birthday. Wimbledon qualifying was a target for Gauff this year, but her ranking, her position, of 301 was not high enough to earn a shot. However, while she was shopping online, she discovered she had received a wild card. A wild card is when a tournament introduces somebody in what would be described as perhaps like a lottery. You haven't made it, but they put their hands into a hat and they choose a name, and we call this a wild card. In the final round of qualifying, she eased to a 6-1, 6-1 win over Belgium's 129 world seeded Greet Minin, although her preparations were not ideal, having had to take a science test at 11 p.m. the previous night. Atlanta-born Gauff idolizes both Williams sisters, Venus and Serena, so when she was drawn against the elder means the one with who is older. Against the elder of the two in the first round, the focus on